when it comes to nature or matter, our body, so how related are we? How is that connection to you? You have understood yoga, and I understand that you are also practicing a different diet. You're doing a vegan diet, a sattvic diet, as you have learned it from your practices in yoga. So, how does that change you, and what's your take on that?
So my take on nature and on, say,
and yes, the overall, because nature, food is part of nature, and we take in food as part of our sustenance to our physical form, to body. Yes, exactly. So these are broader themes, but at the same time very much connected to our personal level in terms of the way we think, the way we behave, the way we live. So what's your view on this?
Yeah, I'll tell you first my general view, and then I'll make it a little bit more personal.
Yes, absolutely.
So generally, it's very simple for me. The minute I think about the environment, I can't help but think very simply about this fact, which is, before humans walked this earth, the environment was doing fine. There was no pollution happening. The oceans were in very good shape.
Yes.
The air was very clean. The animals were roaming around happily, etc. And you know how it was. I mean, but then enter human being, and the world is what it is today, in terms of, unfortunately, say things like pollution, global warming, at least the human side of global warming, because global warming also has a natural side.
Exactly.
So the human side of natural warming, or the speeding up of the global warming
process,
the process, all of this really is human-made, is man-made. And so my view immediately on the environment is that we are guilty. As a species. We're guilty of what's happening to this world, which really means it's not really about just being guilty and leaving. It means responsibility. So we're responsible. We're accountable and we're responsible. And when I say we, and this is again just my global view, is that it's not that somebody else is doing it and they are guilty and I'm just an observer or an outsider. It's not that the politician is doing it, or the industrialist is doing it, or polluting, or that country is polluting, and I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't see it this way. I see it, we are all in it together. And don't forget, we are the politicians. We are the politicians.
I'm consuming this. We're consuming
everything.
Everything. So we are part of that.
And that's an important word that you used here. The way we consume and consumption. I mean, never underestimate the impact that has on the world around. So from this global view, I'll talk a little bit personally and my experience with say the environment, and I think one of the most intimate things of how we relate to the environment is food.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and a very basic example, because we all need to eat. We all need food, and we have it 3 times a day, maybe more, maybe less.
Yeah.
And so the impact it has on the environment is phenomenal. So personally speaking, I've adopted a vegan diet 15 years ago, a little bit more than 15 years ago. Very strict vegan, and it's been working out for me. In addition to not just vegan but sattvic, and we can talk a little bit about that. But I just want to focus on the environment now. Is that I think a plant-based diet doesn't have to be vegan. Because vegan might sound a little extreme to certain cultures, to certain groups.
There are a lot of controversies about this and that in terms of that term vegan.
Right.
So
and we can discuss that maybe separately, etc. But not to waste a lot of time on this. It doesn't have to be strictly vegan. It doesn't even have to be strictly vegetarian. If somebody is a meat eater, they can continue eating, but drastically reduce the amount of meat they eat, the amount of dairy, and amount of processed food that they eat, and eat much more plants and vegetables and grains and legumes and seeds and nuts, etc.
Do you see that impacting your?
It impacts everything. It impacts everything. I like to call it. They ask me, why am I vegan? Is it for the animals, for the environment, or for health? Every time I say the same thing. All of the above.
Yes. I think because it's a very intimate relationship. Understanding that the human body, this body that we inhabit is part of nature. It has earth, it has water, it has fire.
We're 80% water. That's what they say.
Yes, exactly. So what it consumes is part of the environment. So essentially, this body that we take, like a car, we are driving it. It's part of nature. It's part of that. And
absolutely,
if the environment outside is unclean and full of pollution, then naturally the body will have that same pollution. And I, the being who's driving this body, if I am not taking care of it, then naturally it will have to deteriorate faster than
Right. Absolutely.
So do you feel that changes in you when you have made that shift to a vegan diet?
Yeah.
And how has it? Do you think it has an impact in the way you think as well?
Sure. So short answer, yes.
Yeah.
I think it does have an impact on the way I think, and in terms of my mood, and in terms of how I am, my emotional status. I think it does have an impact, and I'll come to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But also, I think equally important is the reverse of this. I think also how you think, impacts the way you eat. It's very basic and it's very simple, right? It's a very simple statement. How you think impacts the way you eat, which impacts the environment. Very simple sentence, but I think it's very crucial, especially at this point in the history of humanity and the history of the earth, is how you think immediately impacts how we eat and how we treat the environment. So before, I gained the benefits of a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet, and there is a lot of benefits to be gained, again, on the mood, on your wellness, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But also, I think it's very important to think about what you eat, and be mindful about what you eat, and then change what you eat. So I'd like to think that we change food more than food changes us. We impact the environment more than the environment impacts us. Again, it's a little bit. It's just switching over the table.
Yes.
But just bringing back, power to the human being and the impact of the human being on food. And when we say food, when I say the impact of human on food, I mean on, say, agricultural sector, on the way, on the meat industry. These are big industries now.
Yeah.
So when we go have a burger, in the burger shop, this is not just a burger. There's a meat industry. There's a heavy industry behind it. Huge, massive $1 trillion of economies, etc., built on that, and which are directly linked to things like pollution, etc. So never underestimate the burger. So if I'm mindful about how I'm eating and what I'm eating, I'm immediately gonna impact industries. So imagine the power of the human being and the power of the human thinking. So I always like to focus more on how we impact food rather than how food impacts us.
Exactly.
But food does impact us. Vegetarian food does impact us. And I'll give you a very simple example. And I always like to use extreme examples to illustrate something. So, for example, if somebody eats meat, on every occasion, every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, heavy on meat every day. Can you imagine the impact it will have on you, on the body?
I mean, science shows that. I mean, it's
science
very
shows that.
Strong studies, lots of studies, medical studies know, and people experience that they know that because of their past actions of constantly eating heavy food, animal-based diet, they now understand the impact of that on their health. And that's why most people who have turned into plant-based diet or reduced their consumption of meat is because of the health, because they felt it themselves heavily. But the thing is, the impact is a little bit later than, the realization is after the fact, after everything has happened in the body and you experience your health issues, cardiovascular health issues and everything. But do you think people can change? Do you think what could make people create that shift?
Change now. That's I think what can make people change their shift is just do it. Just change now.
But I understand what you're saying. But in the sense that, like, for example, you had a realization because there is COVID. There was an event, a massive event that created that transformation, because usually this is how transformation happens. If we try to differentiate what is change and what is transformation, is that the differences in the shift. So that the change can be happening in a very subtle way or in a very big way, but transformation is really a total, kind of overhaul. And do we really need something like a big event like COVID to do that? Or is there a way that we can actually realize that we can possibly change?
Very
What
good
do you
question.
think can happen?
Very good
How do you
question.
think
And
that happens?
I'll make it personal also again.
Yeah.
So I was vegan 15 years before COVID.
Yeah.
So it wasn't COVID that impacted the way I eat. But so how I got to become vegan, and here is, the beauty of relationships. I think our relationships to people around us, family, friends, even the strangers, is an amazing window into our soul, an amazing opportunity or amazing mirror that we can see ourselves in as we relate to people.
True.
I'll give you a very basic example.
Yeah.
So at the time, my dad was having health issues.
Okay.
And he lost his balance. He lost his balance at one point. He regained it later. But I did start noticing health problems with my dad. Now, I don't know why, but this had a huge impact on me. The same way COVID had a huge impact on me. And when I saw my dad, because each one, when I think our dad, he's our hero, right?
Yeah.
Your dad is
So you
your
look
hero.
up to him.
He's your Superman. The minute when I saw him lose his balance and start having health issues, this had a huge impact on me.
You, yeah.
And I'd like to thank, again, the importance of relationship. Thanks to my relationship with my dad, the importance of relationship in general, and the relationship being a mirror to yourself, I started reflecting on my own health. I started reflecting on, okay, what caused this health issues for my dad? And I started researching, I started looking, I started becoming more mindful and observing this thing called food, which we never really observed before, or in my case, we never really observed. I used to eat what was on the table.
Yes.
And then devour it, and then continue on to my next excursion. But for the first time, I started, 1 second before I eat it, what is it? What am I eating? And what is my relationship to it? And what is behind it? And then you can't help but start noticing the industries behind it,
the whole
disease, the whole
supply chain.
Supply chain, exactly. The diseases linked to food, cardiovascular, autoimmune, cancer, all of these things are heavily, linked to food, including my dad's loss of balance at the time. And so this had a major shock on my system. And from there, I started paying attention more to that. So I'd like to
would you say it's your love for your father?
Sure, relationship.
It's relationship.
Yes,
it's the love that actually pushed you towards doing something. It's the love that triggered the change.
Yes. And you know what happened? My dad was not vegan or vegetarian at the time.
Yeah.
After that, and after I became, my dad started also noticing this change in me, and he adopted a vegan diet as well, without me even promoting it to him.
Yeah.
So I think things like relationship, we can call it love, of course, but also I prefer the word relationship because it's how you relate, right? Even COVID. So how you relate to an issue like COVID. Yes. You don't necessarily have to love COVID, but how you relate to it. This is a relationship. Yes. What's your position gonna be with regards to food, with regards to COVID, with regards to poverty? Think on your own, observe, and then express it outwardly to yourself. Not necessarily has to be to someone else. Express it to yourself. Be clear on it, and then I think this will immediately have a huge impact on them. Because I want to link it back to the environment. That's the main topic here. Never underestimate the basic things in our life, how they impact things like the environment. That, in addition, of course, to thinking and also working on the big problems in society that are causing, pollution, etc. So we need to be at the COP events. We need to question even the COP events. We need to observe them. Are they working? Do we need to evolve them a little bit more? We need to look at bigger things, even like the economic system we're in. Is it working? Is it not working?
Where do you see the hope in that? In everything? Because it's they say the world is volatile, uncertain, lots of anxiety. So it's such a big, massive, disruptive changes. Where do you see the hope?
The hope is in the human being. The hope is in the human being, and this is another thing that stood out at the Raja Yoga course and the Raja Yoga community. I always feel the minute I enter and I leave, it's really the human being that's the hope and that's the focus, and the human being is what's gonna change everything. So
what's unique in the human being now? Like you are connecting with everyone that is in Raj Yoga, that's also practicing Raj Yoga, who's also sharing their experience of meditation, their vibrations of meditation. And so what do you like most about that, coming back to the Raj Yoga sphere? What do you think is necessary in that environment for it to make a big change? Do you think that, because if we look at those massive changes that you're talking about, pollution,
it can be daunting.
It can be. Some people find it very hard, and some, can we see it in another light?
Yes.
Do you think there's a better world that we can create despite that situation?
Sure. Lovely question, Madeleine. So if I'm talking to, say, take another extreme example. If I'm talking to a child or a teenager, and I start bringing all these topics on his table, things like global warming, overpopulation, etc., he's gonna look at me and say, "Whatever happened? It's too much. It's too daunting. Man.
Exactly.
Relax." Yeah. So our problems are very big. So, but I don't think we need to be daunted by them. I really think we need to just take it easy. We need to relax. We need to breathe in a little bit, and then really just look at our own lives. And this is not to be disconnected, but look at our own lives and be mindful of our own lives, because at the end of the day, society is nothing but the summation of all of us together. If you change, I change, he changes, she changes. But this is what society is. So this is what matters.
We can talk a lot.
Society is a conclusion of us.
Yes.
So what we do reflects on society, because society is nothing more than us anyway.
Absolutely
so
right.
We should start working on the small things. Again, like the way we eat. It's not really small, it's very big. And we also need to start thinking about the big things. And this is something I just want to say one quick comment on, is that I don't think it's also enough just to change the way you eat and change the way you work. And all of these are very important, and we need to do them. And the beauty about these things is they can happen now. Like I would leave here, go home, and I can eat differently. Done. Yes. So the beauty is that these things are very simple to do, and it can be done immediately. And they are, like you said, they are well documented, well researched, scientific, the impacts on health, the environment, and everything. So we really should not waste a lot of time debating them, because it's there. But in addition to this, and this is where as a society we need to start coming together at some point and start having more dialogues and debates and discussions on our big problems. Things like overpopulation. How is this going to be tackled? And this is not going to just solve itself on its own if I change the way I eat and you change the way you work. So somebody still needs to sit on a table, and it's going to be us at the end of the day, right? Us today.
We have to make our own efforts to do the change.
Or we have to produce politicians who will do that or represent us. Sit on the table and start putting these daunting things that we cannot put on a child's table, but we can put on an adult's table, maybe over a nice vegetarian dinner, and start discussing things like pollution, overpopulation.
What can we do?
Exactly. Capitalism. It's working? Sure, it worked. Is it working really well? Do we need to think of things post-capitalism? Do we need to think at post-capitalism world? So these things need discussions.
A lot of things.
But you see, the beauty is, again, if we're eating differently and if we're working differently and we're doing these small changes first, then the minute we sit on that table, we're going to have a very different discussions. We're going to approach these discussions in a much more relaxed way, and with much more composure and dignity. And I think we will leave that table with real solutions, So
you have so much passion and compassion, Shareef. I really appreciate your sharing. I'm afraid our time is almost I think hit over time, but it was a very interesting discussion. You have a lot of you have shared a lot about the connection, how important it is for us to reach out to the world and know the issues, be aware of the issues. I think we are not detached. Meditation is not about detaching ourselves and being just ourselves happy, which is a very, very important message. But just to wrap up, one last question.
Sure.
What is peace to you in a few words?
Peace.
In your personal experience, how important peace is to you in your own, day-to-day life, in your own movements, in your own thinking process, in your own experience?
On peace, I'll say two things. One, personal
on the personal level,
individual level.
Yes.
But also,
only
think,
for you,
I think,
the intimate nature of it.
True. But I think, we also, at the same time, we're living in a world which is a little bit more chaotic.
Yes, we are.
Maybe. I mean, sure, look,
we've seen everything is there in front of us.
We've seen it, right? So there's a lot of conflicts happening. So I think also
internally, how it becomes more important to you?
Sure, internally it has to, it all starts internally, like we said, right? So it all starts internally. So, things that and I think it's a good chance to summarize a little bit what we've been talking about, because things like meditation, things like being connected to the world. You mentioned compassion, a lovely word. Things like food, things like the environment.
Yeah.
Which all really start with being mindful about these things, start with observing these things. I think the more we meditate and the more we observe ourselves and the world, peace is going to be something very attainable not only to the individual, but to society at large. And this also includes bringing an end. Let me say this here: a permanent end to the conflicts that are happening, whether in the Middle East or in Europe or in Africa or in even South America and other places around the world. A permanent solution needs to happen. And we need to start, because you mentioned peace, and I'm very passionate also about that word peace. But my issue with that is we need to start as a human race, when we put that table and discuss these big things, overpopulation, pollution, etc., we also need to put on that table things like conflict and war, and start saying things like, how can we end war permanently? How can we end pollution permanently? How can we bring a sustainable peace? And not just a peace between two wars, or a ceasefire between two wars, which is not enough.
In your life, in your own, we have seen that big ones, and we know that needs to be changed. But sitting right now, experiencing peace, what it is like to you? I like what you said earlier, that it is just naturally,
Peace, Madeleine, for me, peace is society. Peace is society.
Peace is society.
Peace is society. Maybe it does not make a lot of grammatical sense, but I'd like to say that peace is society. I don't think there can be peace individually.
Wonderful.
As long as society is in conflict. I think, the minute we say peace is such a huge responsibility, that I will not let anything happen anywhere around the world. And if it happens in another continent, it's like it's happening to me.
To you, yeah.
In that sense, I mean society.
Absolutely.
I think then is where peace becomes attainable to all of us. So peace is society. I'd like to end with that.
That's a very, very beautiful way to say it. A very unique way of understanding peace and experiencing peace, not just for you. That's a very, very beautiful way to end it. And thank you, Shareef. It's a big discussion today, but it's an eye-opening, and it's you have brought a lot of things in your experience and your passion and your understanding of the world and your desire for change, and that's a really big thing. So thank you for this evening.